With Russia-Ukraine war entering day 22, children continue to remain the biggest victims. The invasion of turning a child refugee every second. The data released by UNICEF recently states that about 1.5 million children have fled Ukraine in the past 3 weeks. As Russia intensifies its attack on Ukraine, there seems to be no end to the heartbreaking images. The neighbouring countries have also opened the doors for traumatized young refugees. For some, what may be a normal childhood just about a few weeks ago has now turned into a complete nightmare with an uncertain future. The images on your screens comes from the capital city of Kiev, where down a dusty basement, hiding from the shelling, has become shelter for the newborns. The place hosts 21 babies born to surrogates. Nurses are now taking care of these babies as the fighting has made it impossible for their parents to reach them.
More than 200 schools, around 35 hospitals, and hundreds of residential buildings, possibly close to 2,000, have been destroyed since the war began in Ukraine. Towns and villages across the eastern half of the besieged country do not have electricity and water. And in the intense cold of the snow-covered terrain, there is no heat. Millions of ordinary Ukrainians are hiding in bunkers and shelters, shivering in the cold uncertainty of mounting loss. UNICEF has put up this appeal on their landing page on Ukraine. Children in Ukraine are facing a deadly crisis as the hostilities in their country are increasing. Like all conflicts, this is turning into a children's crisis, and they will need as much humanitarian support and help as we can provide. UNICEF says there are 7.5 million children in Ukraine, and the war poses an immediate threat to their lives and well-being. With the intensifying of indiscriminate bombing of civilian targets, lives are being lost, and some of them are children. On 7th of March, human rights sources inside Ukraine released actual numbers of children killed, 38 dead and 71 injured. The survivors are rushing to the borders, clad in their winter clothing, holding on to their mothers or elders, trusting hands clasping those of adults, making unplanned journeys to the unknown, to faraway lands where strangers try and make them feel welcome.
Just 2 days ago, we had a transport of 700 kids. And, it's not easy to find a place for anybody, but it's even tougher to find a place for 700 kids in the same one place.
As their homes and lives are torn apart by other unseen strangers, firing big guns from somewhere beyond the dreadful horizon. Natasha, a 16-year-old Ukrainian refugee from before this war even started, writes, "The war came to us and happiness is no more than a ghost from my dreams." Natasha used to live in the seaside village of Shirokne in eastern Ukraine. The last time she saw her house, she was 11. Natasha writes, "Our hearts are full of sadness. We have no home. The night is black. Every day that the war in Ukraine goes on, every day that the bombs rain from above, every time another school goes up in flames, and every bullet that takes a parent away, another Natasha's heart fills with sadness. 100 hearts sad, and the night stays black."
The Russian military might has met a resilient Ukrainian army. Putin's forces have suffered some bitter blows in the last 3 weeks of the war. So far, 4 top Russian commanders have been killed in Ukraine. Here's a report.
Armed to the teeth, tough, ruthless, the Russian military is one of the most intimidating forces in the world. But the Ukrainian resistance has been equally fierce. Ukraine has inflicted enough injury on the aggressor. Another top Russian commander, Major General Oleg Mityaev, has been killed. He died during a fierce battle with Ukrainian troops in Mariupol. He was the commander of 150th Motorized Rifle Division. This is not the first blow for the Russians in this war. Earlier, a key commander of the Russian tank regiment, Colonel Andrei Zakharov, was eliminated in Kiev after a heavy fight. Zakharov was a recipient of the Order of Courage from Putin himself in 2016. In a fatal blow to Russia's crack special forces, Major General Vitaly Gerasimov, the Chief of Staff of the 41st Army, was killed in Kharkiv. Russia also lost the head of the 7th Airborne Division Major General Andrei Sukhovetsky. A war hero, the general's loss is being seen as a bitter blow to Putin's crack units. A sign Russia's assault isn't going to plan.
The key difference now between the Ukrainian and the Russian forces is the morale component. The Ukrainians have fought very well and morale is very high, and that is infectious, and it is clearly not just between the Ukrainian professional soldiers but also the Ukrainian civil society as a whole. They see this as a fight for national survival. And on the Russian side, morale is very low.
The death of the highly decorated veterans could be a major demotivator for the Russians and a morale booster for the Ukrainian defenders.